Any astronomer will tell you that the sight of the celestial heavens from the surface of the moon by astronauts would have been breathtaking, overwhelming, and certainly would have evoked a tremendous response on the part of any human being on the moon. Now, what I have to ask is, why didn't the astronauts take a telescopic camera to the moon and take pictures of Saturn, Venus, Mars, the galaxies? They could have gotten pictures of the stars that are impossible to get on Earth because of the atmospheric interference. Micrometeorites are particles ranging in size, say, from a grain of sand on up to something formidable like the size of a human fist. Well, micrometeorites rain on the surface of the moon constantly. It's known that 25,000 meteorites enter the Earth's atmosphere every day. But they don't harm anybody because the majority of them are burned up by the atmosphere in their very, very rapid transit. On the moon, there's no atmosphere. The meteorites rain down on everything, on anybody who happens to be there, any equipment on the surface. Had astronauts gone to the moon, they would have been pelted and pierced by micrometeorites traveling up to 30,000 miles per hour. One wonders why they were able to get such perfect photographs on the moon when obviously micrometeorites could have gone right through the Hasselblad cameras and the film.
Good. Let's talk a little bit about the radiation outside the Van Allen radiation zone.
You know, Bart, I really know so little about that. Renee is such an expert that I'll beg off on that point, because I know little or nothing about the radiation in space, but he has it down absolutely cold.
Tell us about the, what about the air conditioning in the lunar module?
Oh, yeah. Well, I can talk about that.
Okay.
The lunar module on the moon was assailed by sunlight, unobstructed by any atmosphere. The surface of the moon, when the sun is shining on it, is about 250 degrees Fahrenheit. One has to ask, how were the astronauts able to air cool or water cool or cool in any way the interior of the lunar excursion module? They only had batteries, and batteries run down very quickly when they're running air conditioning equipment. So it's obvious to almost anybody who investigates the lunar excursion module that there would have been no way to keep the astronauts alive in an environment that was hot enough to bake cookies. The lunar ascent and descent engines were propelled by hypergolic propellants, and that means that propellants which, when they are mixed, ignite spontaneously. Now, these two propellants produce a very hot red gas. I've seen them tested at Rocketdyne many times. In photographs taken on the moon, there is practically no visible gas being emitted from the ascent engine when it takes off, nor is there any indication when they are descending that there is this cloud of red gas underneath the lunar excursion module. The sounds of engines run up in excess of 150 decibels. This is far beyond the capability of anybody to converse when you have sound at that high level. And yet, in broadcasts from the moon, we hear the astronauts conversing in a normal tone of voice and saying things like, "quiet ride." One of the strongest pieces of evidence that no one has ever landed on the moon is the fact that underneath the lunar module, underneath the engine cone, the jet nozzle, there is no crater. And yet in all of the drawings done by NASA artists prior to Apollo, they show a tremendous crater being gouged out by this 10,000-pound thrust jet engine of the lunar descent module. I would say that the strongest piece of evidence, other than the stars, is the fact that there is no disturbance underneath the lunar excursion module upon its landing.